When I tell people, oh, like, what do you study? Mechanical engineering. They're like, whoa, that's really hard. Like, I could never do that. It always bothers me when people say that because there was a time where I thought I couldn't do that, you know? And I didn't think I could come back and I didn't think I could pass the classes. And I always thought it's only going to get harder and harder and harder and harder. When in reality, it somehow got easier. And it doesn't make sense, but it did. I was always kind of like a smart kid, like to my parents. And when I went into high school, it was where the work ethic like caught up to me, and so I started to struggle in the sense that I was still passing classes and getting B's and A's, but I wasn't really like trying. I remember once in pre-calculus, the teacher started handing out a test, and I was like, "We have a test today?" I didn't even know, right? To me, it was like whatever, but nowadays it's like there, I can't even imagine doing that, you know? But it was fine. Like I got through high school. I had like a 2.9, a 3.0, or somewhere between a 2.9 and 3.1, like weighted, unweighted. The transition wasn't there. Like I treated college like it was high school when I first came. Even though it was a higher education, I wasn't treating it as so. It was just a continuation of what I'd previously been doing. And so it didn't go bad, you know. It was okay. I made it through 2 semesters, so the first year. And then the second year, I had to take Calc 2, and that's where things kicked in. Like, this is higher education. This is not a continuation of high school. Because Calc 2, I struggled and I failed with a D. But even looking back, that could have all been mitigated had I just studied, you know? But I was just so unfamiliar with the concept of like studying, you know? Just putting time in and putting effort in something like that. So I had a D in Calc 2 the first time, a D in Thermo, and then I had a D in Calc 2, about Calc 2 the second time. So everything kind of escalated and crashed and burned, right? Because I got so fed up, that was the second semester of my second year, that I stopped showing up to school at all. Like the last month, I just stopped going to school. I didn't care anymore. I was just so tired completely with everything, you know? I had a friend, and we were both just disillusioned, I guess, if that's the right word, with school. And so we both dropped out. Eventually, after a couple semesters at Mount Sac, I was going to transfer back. Then I got readmitted, and I was super, super happy to be readmitted, and it was super cool. And then I came back, and that was a year ago, just a year ago. And so I had like 5 classes. I had solid mechanics, fluid mechanics. I had all these classes, and I was still very intimidated because, you know, I got through CC, right? But these classes were looking scary. Fluid mechanics, solid mechanics, you know? And so when I finally came back to Cal State Fullerton, I think I had a greater appreciation for school. And that whole attitude I had prior, the continuation of high school, I kind of started viewing it as higher education, like understanding more what it means to me personally. So when I came back, I just started applying myself. I just started studying and focusing, paying attention in lectures. It was the first time that I can recall that I had noticed, like in fluids or solids, that I was so like absorbed that the hour went by like that, you know, because I was not focused on anything else, no other thoughts. But prior, I always would be in class and pull out my phone, think about what I'm gonna do when I go home, think about what I'm gonna eat. But like certain classes like those, where you just get so, you know, into it and you don't think about anything, you know, you're just in the flow state of just learning. Everything he says, like, you're just absorbing every word basically. So I just had this different mentality or attitude, you know. That like semester after fluids and the semester after, I started to realize like I can really do this. Like I'm gonna graduate finally, and like there's nothing I wanted more than just to, you know, graduate as like an engineer. Because my mom, like, it would make her so proud. Like she's like, she didn't, both of my parents like didn't go to high school. Like they dropped out of middle school or something. They're from a small town in Syria, right? Which is like a couple thousand people. They didn't go to school, and so There's nothing my mom wants more than just to see like her kids smart. Like she just wants to brag about her kids to everybody. So I'm happy like that I'm gonna graduate and make her proud.